All right. So, hello, everybody. This is Andrew Hunzicker, CPA with Dope CFO. Today, we've got an awesome show here. I think this is going to be very valuable to all of you, all of us as accountants, bookkeepers, CPAs, whatever we are. We're always trying to become more efficient with our time. It's one of the big issues I've seen both in polls, but also talking to you. Just I'm stressed out. I'm overloaded. How the heck do I manage all this better? And what kind of tools are out there as well? So today I've got David Cristello of Jetpack Workflow. That is a software program. Hopefully you've already heard about it, but you're going to learn a lot more about it as well today. He's going to tell us about this innovative accounting software solution, and we're going to talk about the issues and how that solves, as well as kind of David's background. And with that, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So, David, first off, give us the quick background of you and your background, and then how you got interested in helping accountants at all, at least from a software side.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on. Really excited to get connected with this community. Like you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Jetpack Workflow. And how we got started was really, we have this atypical belief that you can build a wonderful, fulfilling, meaningful business if you go out and solve a painful problem. I mean, this is what your community does for the CBD and cannabis community. And this is how we thought about it for software. And so we ended up, or I'll say the royal we at that time. So I ended up emailing thousands of accounting firm owners, just trying to look for something that's painful in their lives. And I just thought, goodness, this is an important community. It's an important profession. I actually don't have a background in it, but I realized the power of accounting, the power of finances. And so I interviewed firm owners about what was the most tedious, time-consuming, or frustrating problem about running or growing an accounting firm, and came across this problem of checklist management, of due dates falling through the cracks. And I really tried to convince everybody, well, great news. There's all these legacy systems out there. They've already solved it. And they said, oh, we've tried it. They're clunky. They're expensive. They're not cloud-based. My team's not using it. We get long-term contracts. It doesn't have this functionality. I said, okay, great. Well, good news. There's a thing called Asana, which I'm sure your community is familiar with. There's a thing called Smartsheet. There's a thing called Podio. There's now a thing called Monday.com. There's a thing called ClickUp. Like, why not just use all these wonderful tools? And they said, well, we tried, but all of a sudden, as we continue to use them, they're missing this thing that's like kind of important for accounting firms, which is a client profile. You can't house client information. And so we said, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And so, from realizing legacy systems were maybe too archaic and clunky to really adopt, and they just gave you too much, but general tools gave you too little. And so we kind of fit in between, where we give you everything you need to manage all your client work in one place so that due dates don't fall through the cracks. And so that's the software that we have in our primary product in the business.
Well, that's awesome. Just right off the bat, because we even tell people to do that, just actually reaching out to the market you want to serve and talking to them and finding out their pain points. That we say the same thing. If you're brand new to cannabis accounting and you don't have a client yet, you can always reach out and start discussing with these people. We know a lot of their pain points already, but yeah, that's just a great idea as well. So why don't you cover, how does this Jetpack Workflow software transform and streamline the operations and processes? Tell us a little more, kind of about the nuts and the bolts. And I will say right off the bat too, because I've heard this about your system, I think it's easy and intuitive to learn. One problem with whether you talk about Asana or Basecamp, it feels like there's so many bells and whistles on those platforms. And because I've used Basecamp and Asana and Trello, and we use Slack, and it's like, gosh, it's hard to even learn or get started. So that's overwhelming for one. And then two, it's also overload. Like they all want to set up emails and texts and whatnot. And so it just almost is overwhelming just to even get started.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really great point. And I want to get into the nuts and bolts question, but to just jump off of something you said, I think, when you came on our podcast, the Growing Your Firm podcast, we talked about the power of niching down. And when you see that in your community, I mean, the power is because you know you can deliver a certain service, a certain type of way, you can speak the language of the market, and it makes you a better service provider to say, I know CBD and cannabis inside and out, right? And so,
Yeah.
you know, those tools, the more generic ones, they're really great. They have all these amazing features. I mean, Asana just went public in the last, I think, 24 months. Smartsheet went public last 24 months. But they don't know accounting. Maybe they have a couple blog posts about it, but they're not really thinking about that niche. They're not thinking about what really drives the accounting firm. And they're trying to serve as many people as humanly possible. So their service agreements and their service levels and getting somebody on the phone, it's just not that model, right? It's more like, you know, Vanguard kind of model versus maybe a more concierge model. And so, yeah, we really try to focus on the accounting profession. And we help firms do three primary things. So the first thing we do is we help you standardize all of your services into a process that everybody can follow. And so we call that, you know, standardized. So get it out of your brain, out of a spreadsheet, off of a whiteboard, out of your calendar, and get it into a place that everybody can view and everybody can follow across all the clients that you have. So first step is, let's create your checklist. Let's create your templates. We have a template library. So if you jumpstart, you can drag and drop ours into your account, or you can build your own if you're part of your community. It sounds like you have a lot of templates to go with anyway.
Yeah.
So you can upload those. The next thing we do is automate. We help you automate the recurrence of these deadlines. So weekly payroll, biweekly payroll, month-end closes, quarterly filings, yearly filings. You can add all these recurring deadlines into the system. You can also go from creating your standardized template, and then you can roll it out to all of your clients in about 12 seconds, right? So you have your template, you have the deadlines, you copy it to all your clients. It's a simple, like, grab all my CBD clients, submit, right? And we'll roll it out to your account. We have automations like we can help automate client onboarding with some of our integration. And then finally, we help you track everything. And this is where we really see the firm owner sanity come into play. When you can finally see, when was it supposed to be due? When was it done? If it got stuck, you know, we recommend everybody use the notes feature in our tool. We use the collaboration feature in our tool. So if anybody's stuck on a client engagement, you see where they got stuck, how they got stuck. You're able to dive in and understand what the blockers were, which you could then use to update the system to make it better. You could look at capacity. You could look at the progress. So you have a system in place where at any given moment, if you feel anxious about where everything's at, open up Jetpack, see the status, see the progress. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. You know, we help you standardize, automate, and track everything in your firm.
So let me dive in deeply so a couple of things on that tracking. So say you have a payroll deadline with Gusto. Does it actually, it just sends you the reminder, I got to run payroll today, or it's not going to link into Gusto or whatever and click a box?
No, it won't talk directly with Gusto in that way, but I mean, you can hyperlink. If you have some clients that use, you know, Gusto and some that use a different payroll provider, you can house that contextual information in our platform. So you could say these are Gusto clients and these are other payroll solution providers. If there's a certain login page or report in Gusto, you can hyperlink that in your checklist or in the set of steps. Yeah, but it really is a reminder to make sure you're getting all your work done on time. Like when we think about our application and our company, everything we do is going to help you get your work done on time, right? Because and we assume if you're in a community like yours, or you're an accounting firm that really cares about your clients, the quality we see is there. You're going to go above and beyond for your clients. And what we try to do is to make sure everything's getting done on time across the board. So yeah, we'll send you the reminders. We'll send you the alerts and things like that.
And then is there a feature, one thing I like, it's basically the only thing I use Slack for at all, but I feel like it's almost like an online group text feature that gets rid of email, where you just have like a group like our team that's just, you know, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us, marketing, we can just, people are talking to each other and I can jump in or out or see what other people are talking about. Is there that feature in your software? So if Joe and Sally are talking about the ABC engagement, you can just look in, see what they're talking about or whatever?
Absolutely. And we recommend that's best practice. If you have a question about an engagement or project or job, we call it jobs in our system, open it up and collaborate with your, mention them the way you might in Slack. And then that way the owner or partner, if that job goes off track, can quickly open it up and see everything that's been going on. Oh, they contacted the client at this date.
Yeah.
They asked the team member this question about did they open up a new location or not. Somebody said they checked the client profile in Jetpack and the information wasn't listed about their spouse's name, things like that. And so you can go in. We want really to make this the source of record. And the power of that is, I mean, we had one firm owner apply this technique and a few others, but this was a primary one to help them increase profit by 20%, is he would look at the done versus due inside of Jetpack Workflow, and where things were falling, far beyond the targeted due date, he would open up the job and he would look at the notes and the collaboration that was going on, and he would update the system so that problem never happened ever again. So if somebody was struggling to find the spouse's name, or they're struggling to find a document or the sales script, okay, let's add that into the system so nobody ever has to ask that question ever again. And he just kept doing this rinse and repeat. And after a year, he had totally streamlined his business. So yeah, we recommend everybody put those kind of like contextual client or job questions in the system.
Well, let's jump around. So, and maybe we'll make these next couple of questions around even the small practitioner. A lot of us are solo. What do you think are the biggest roadblocks and challenges that accountants and bookkeepers are facing? And how can they learn from these as they change to this evolving landscape that we're all in the middle of?
Yeah, and just to clarify where I should take this, you want it from a workflow perspective or general industry perspective?
Just kind of industry perspective, but the next couple of questions I want to look kind of from the small accountant, because I think what you're doing is super valuable. Even like, if I have a 20-person CPA firm and we've got all these teams, but what if it's just me and I'm a CFO, but I've got 6 clients, I still want to use this system.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll kind of go in reverse order a little bit, but yeah, if it's just you, you're a one-person band. If you want to have, if you want to sleep through the night again, right? So people tell us they wake up in the middle of the night and then, oh my God, did I get back to that client? Did I follow up with that vendor? Did I connect with that partner? I don't know. You need to get it out of your brain and into a system. Now, I know this is actually quite hard because you're trying to make sure you have enough cash flow, keep the firm afloat. But if you don't do it now, it exponentially becomes harder when you then hire somebody and you don't have it in place, because then you're trying to build a plane as you're flying it. So if you're not setting up the process until you've hired your first or second team member, they're already learning all the poor practices of the firm, right? So you need to get it out early, and it allows you to scale, whether you're hiring a contractor, part-time or full-time. So anyways, I would recommend it at any stage. But in terms of the industry, I think there's some really interesting things going on. And I think the kind of primary one that's been on my mind a lot is kind of going to this hybrid model, this firm hybrid model, the online, offline. Do we go back into the office? Do we stay at home? Well, we don't want to lose our team members. Our clients like a virtual experience, or some team members like working from home. So we're going to do flex time. We're going to do hybrid. I think that is going to put a lot of stress on firms, because a hybrid model is a default remote first model. All of a sudden, every firm is a remote firm. By extension of that, every firm can serve just about any client in the state, in the country, wherever they could, have exposure against their niche. And all of a sudden, the firms that aren't able to live in a remote first mindset, even if they go back to the office, are going to start seeing clients, essentially poach from them that are delivering a better client experience. So I think, the people that are thinking about this hybrid world, which I think has a lot of interesting benefits, you need to think of it as a remote first experience. And what does that mean practically speaking? You log everything into the cloud, right? If you have an in-person meeting, which we're all really excited to have in-person meetings, but you got to take the notes, you got to put it in the cloud if you want other team members to see it, because not every team member is going to be into the office. And it's going to be a huge crunch. But I think the second big thing in the industry as well is just being a little bit more strategic about your firm and where you want to take your firm. And I think it's brilliant when you niche down. It's one of the things most successful firms that we talk to, they always niche down. I've never met a firm that has an amazing firm and they're just like, yep, we're still serving everybody and we still kind of give like the lowest ish prices. Like, I've never heard that from a firm that gets beyond 10 people, to be honest. And so I do think, but being strategic, who's the niche? What kind of services do I want to package for them? How do I want to sell and market those services? And then what kind of controls do I have to make sure that when we're actually doing the work, I know quality work is getting out on time, and kind of taking those one at a time, but really thinking about those things very methodically, I think is going to be a huge opportunity and challenge.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we were looking just, I mean, from any angle, the way you look at this industry, and even going back 10 years, before the thought even occurred to me to pick a niche, never is everyone, whether you're a Price Waterhouse or a solo entrepreneur, we bragged about, yeah, we could serve everybody. And so now, yes, the best firms have figured it out. We've got a niche that in alone is going to make our life easier. And then also this whole deal with COVID, working from home and remote. And then you think of these, I worked at Price Waterhouse where they need you to be, working these insane hours to meet deadlines. And so you go back to busy season, and they've got people in the office where we're working 7 days a week till 10 at night. And it's going to be interesting to see even these 10 and 20 person firms, like, how are they going to get that level of work even out of like a 25-year-old or whatever at home? Because when we're at home, we're not working from 8 to 10 at night. I guarantee it. That said, I'm such a big believer that whole 8 to 5 model in any industry. I did, when I was a CFO at a sizable firm for 10 years, and I had seven accountants, like we each had our own office side by side, and I'd walk by after lunch by people's offices, and everyone had like glazed eyes, and it's like, everyone's playing on their Facebook or whatever. And so the idea that someone could sit down in an office for 8 hours and actually be productive is insane. And everyone has different, and we found that even in our new company, some people work really good from like eight at night to 2 in the morning. Me, after 4 in the afternoon, I'm done. If you want something productive out of me, but then again, I'll be working at 5 to 7:30 in the morning. I'll produce a lot of stuff. And so getting that, so that's really good advice around what you're saying, just from a strategic, and how we move, and tools like yours are going to be huge as well.
Just to jump off that a little bit too. I mean, so it's not like the hard thing with these trends is, you're not going to wake up on Thursday and be like, where's my team? Where's the talent? They're all gone, right? It's going to be incremental over the next decade. It's obviously COVID's made it a little bit faster, but it's not like you're going to nosedive tomorrow. But it's going to become increasingly challenging. You're going to have more tailwinds for talent, because I was on a call earlier today, and somebody's like, yeah, a lot of team members, this is an accounting firm partner, large firm, a lot of them say they don't want to come back to the office. Well, they're coming back into the office, right? And I think that's their choice, and that's totally fine. But you are going to lose a certain percentage of the population that, there will be more remote accounting firms this year, next year, and the year after. That trend's, here to stay. There's going to be more that are at least doing hybrid models with flex time. There's going to be more that do flexible hours. And then on top of that, I think we've all seen these platforms that allow you to essentially spin up a contractor business faster than ever before. So the one we've even utilized in the past, like TopTal, there's a bunch of these. And of course, quality fluctuates, of course. But, if you're a firm owner and you're not offering that flexibility, and you want to attract a tech-savvy accountant or bookkeeper, A, they might be hesitant to apply in the first place, but B, they now have more opportunities to actually just build up their own client base on these contractor platforms. So yeah, you got to be, you just got to think of the pros and cons of kind of the direction you're going.
And even this next question, we've really kind of hit this already around what FreshBooks or QuickBooks or all these, when we look at even the bookkeeping side of things, we have a lot of bookkeepers in the program too, that they're getting bombarded by a gazillion new bookkeepers that are being brought on easily, because there's dozens of courses out there that, hey, you're a stay-at-home mom, you want to be a bookkeeper, or they're targeting people that are primed to be bookkeepers. QuickBooks competes with their own customers now. They have loads of bookkeeping services. The Big Four offers bookkeeping. Asia offers bookkeeping for dirt cheap. And so these people are really struggling. but they've got to have solutions where they can compete, add more value, et cetera. Because a lot of people, I'm looking at the client side, they do want Sally Smith or Joe Smith as opposed to KPMG or a huge firm, because they're not getting that service that they need. But that said, like you hit on this already around your product. I get this over and over. I'm just overwhelmed. I've got too much. I'm missing due dates or whatever. And I loved your analogy about losing sleep at night, because I do that as well. I'll wake up, oh gosh, did I remember to do this or whatever? So
Yeah.
give me your take on that side as well. But this is definitely relates to bookkeepers as well, to manage your practice.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, kind of what we're seeing in FreshBooks and QuickBooks or Xero or, other platforms, I mean, they will continue to deliver tools that make firms more efficient. Yeah, and anything that is manual, they will continue to try. I mean, something we think about, they're thinking about. Every technology platform is saying, how can we automate this? How can we make it smarter? How can we make it faster and cheaper and more scalable? So that trend's not going anywhere. It does attack the hourly billing model, for sure.
Yeah.
Folks will still be able to get away with it, and I'm not really, people have kind of a religious stance for or against it. I'm like, use if necessary. That's kind of my approach, right? Like if I was building a firm, I would absolutely go with the fixed fee model, and then calibrate at a certain frequency to make sure I was charging the right price for the right margins for the right value. But at the end of the day, QuickBooks coming in with a bookkeeping service, this is going to sound somewhat harsh, but if you're losing clients to that, then you were losing anyways. Like I think if that's attacking your core client base, you've already missed out, and this is perhaps the wake up call needed to call your clients, get them on the phone, figure out what you could be doing to help them in their lives. The level of satisfaction most business owners have with their accountant, with their bookkeeper, is fairly mediocre. There are not a lot of raving fans about accounting firms. There's a huge opportunity to step up, do a little bit more, learn a little bit more about the industry, give more proactive guidance on where the business can go. Charge more money for it. I'm not saying do it for the same price. You can charge more money for it. So I do think there's a whole cohort of firms that are still out there. I think the low end of the market will always be combative, because there's just the largest quantity. But if you're losing to that, if you're worried about that, I just think you're in the wrong place mentally to begin with.
Yeah. Well, that is all awesome advice. Let me ask kind of a final main question, then we'll talk about how to reach you, et cetera. But so we've talked about software, et cetera, is evolving, and maybe touch on how your software will evolve with the industry, which I think you've touched on a little, but as well as our main audience of cannabis CBD. We talked about this earlier. There's a ton of software out there that says, oh, even though cannabis CBD is legal, I mean, CBD is fully legal. And there's still many platforms that say, if you're around that, we're not going to help you. So maybe address that real quickly as well before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm curious what your thoughts of like why they're still not supporting it, right? So maybe that's its own rant. I don't know, but like you kind of mentioned in the pre-show bit, if you're a firm owner and you're running a legal business and you're helping businesses thrive and do better financially, I mean, yeah, absolutely, why not? All day, every day. I mean, that's what's great. And so, our platform, we have certain pre-built templates or checklists you can drag and drop into your account. But really, any process that you're using in your firm for your tax returns, your month-end closes, your payroll, your CFO services, whatever it is, get it out of your brain, standardize it in our tool. We don't care what niche you are. We don't care what industry you are. We just care that, you're a firm owner that wants to do better, be more, contribute more, or take more time off if you want to. I mean, whatever it is, we just, who we like to attract is somebody that has the hunger to improve where they're currently at and continue to grow. And so, yeah, we are outside of you're an accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, tax firm. Outside of that, we're totally agnostic of like, where people are coming in from and what industries they're serving. Again, as long as it's legal, we're totally fine. So yeah, the CBD cannabis community, we have a couple in our ecosystem already. And, at the end of the day, we love working with them. So, whatever we can do to help.
Okay, well that is awesome. Love hearing everything. To wrap up though, let me let you share where they can find. I know your website's super easy to find, where they can reach you, and just get more information about all the stuff we've talked about. We'll obviously have all this in our show notes too, but where they can reach you, et cetera.
Yeah, so the main website is jetpackworkflow.com. That's where you can learn more about the software. We have a blog there. We have our own podcast. Andrew, you were on it, which is great. It's a great episode. So it's the Growing Your Firm podcast. But, we talked a lot about templates today. We talked a lot about checklists today. And like you said, sometimes it's just hard to get started. So we have this free digital gift. It's 32 workflow templates. So you can see kind of like a standardized across the industry, 32 different service categories in spreadsheet form. If you want that for free, we set up a link for your audience, jetpackworkflow.com/dope-CFO. So jetpackworkflow.com/dope-CFO.
Perfect. That's and we will put that in if you missed that, but that should be super easy to get. And it was so awesome to have you on the show, and I'm excited to hear as people jump in and start using it, and we'll share a lot in our community as well.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, David. If you need more information as well about Dope CFO, you can check us out at dopecfo.com, and we'll have this podcast up as well there.